it was a while back, and well, I have 7-3 victory over PB. Certainly looking pretty good after that.
Hmm.
And the scoreline they won earlier. Start things out. Both these teams generally like to ban Thatcher, so wouldn't be surprised if we see that come out from one shot to start things out. It's a pretty common ban amongst these two teams. Yep, that's exactly what we'll see. Fun fact, by the way, for the defensive bans, both these teams basically ban Valk like all the time. So, especially one shot. Actually, one shot have banned Valk almost every single game. So I'm interested to see if IF do that. But instead, they banned the Flores. We actually didn't see. I know. It's escaping me. I know one player on One Shot plays Flores frequently, but I can't remember who. Do you remember, Benny?
Flores frequently? I had to go back on pick who it was. Isn't it usually
I'll
on
look
one
at it.
shot?
I'll look at my notes. I'll look at my notes.
Yeah, I was say look through my notes. Maybe it's. Ooh, yeah, I have to go check. But either way, Valkyrie banned out next, as long with Mirror. It's the same old you expect on Kafe. Both teams usually ban out Valkyrie. Mirror is always strong on Kafe, so makes sense to ban them both out. Really, this is the same old band as usual. Just the floor is different compared to before. We saw Nomad band.
Yeah, and as well for IF, they're not the biggest Flores players. We saw Arrow move onto it a little bit earlier on Bang, but it really wasn't anything crazy from IF. And actually, check the tape. Storms likes to play the Flores every now and then. At least in some of the games I watched, he played it big in like against Okami on Chile was one example. So
Ah, okay.
either way, here on a map like Kafe in general, a lot of focus on shields. Flora is certainly a good op to get off the board. Though we will see a 6-pick pretty quickly, not on the attack, on the defense this go around. Castle to the Echo. So might have been trying to fake out a cocktail play there. You see the castle, you might immediately think, oh, they're going to do that cigar hold with the castle barricade on the double door, that sort of thing. But instead, no. They'll switch to the Echo, and this lineup that we have right here, characteristic of a kitchen defense from One Shot.
Yeah, already. It's in the Mozzie, the Echo, the Vigil, the Smoke, and the Mute. It definitely feels like that same run you'd expect, having the Echo for that late game so you can just stop the plant when they're dying seconds of the round. And really, that makes sense, though, because IF traditionally so far in most rounds on attacking, sure, they're able to make the execute happen, but they always leave it down to the last 20 seconds. And yeah, somebody's hard drive needs to,
I feel like
the hard drive needs to run.
Did Kool-Aid sneak into the lobby while we weren't looking? Like, what the hell is this? I have not had to wait that long to load into a game since like Kool-Aid didn't have an SSD, and that was a while ago. Anyway, finally got in the lobby. I got really scared there. The stream froze, so that was not a fun couple seconds just then. I was really nervous. Well, we are in the lobby, and Betty, actually from IF, we see the exact same lineup they were running earlier. Arrow and Subarctic both on the Lion and the Finka respectively. The rest aren't really all that crazy. Vivid on Hard Breach, Getty on Sledge, Inrio on Yana. But it was that line of that Finka that I would say definitely are the most out of the norm for Kafe, and what really were massive successes for IF. The Lion especially helped facilitate the play of Inrio, Giddy, those two especially getting the, I believe it was, 14 kills each earlier. They got 28 between them. That was a monumental performance earlier. But for One Shot on their defense as well, starting out on Kitchen, they are roaming very far upstairs, holding in the second floor and the third floor as well with those Mute and Mozzie pass alongside Swayan on the Vigil to try to waste time and deny intel.
Yeah, one thing from the PB game is that PB never really tried to engage in any of their roams. They tried to just, waste time, come back to site when they wasted enough time, because you saw how slow IF is on their on attacks. So they just wasted time and return to site. I'm expecting One Shot, and we've seen previous games, they're going to expect to take fights and try and, get kills on this roam compared to what we usually see from, we saw from another game at least. So we'll see how IF, how they fare in that regard, and whether or not they're still going to, engage in that roam clear, knowing how aggressive these players at One Shot can be. So it looks like they're still deciding. Nobody's really going to the roof. Nobody's jumped to that top floor. So maybe IF at this point are thinking to just bypassing the roam and pushing straight onto site, or straight towards site at least.
We do see a cutoff held by Arrow right now. He's got a punch hole in the garage door, but I imagine they're aware of that. Not only that, but they're aware of Subarctic taking coat check. Nobody on One Shot's defense actually holding inside of this area. That is incredibly odd. This is a very common position on defense. Whether you're extending far off the site or bunkering down, you usually have some guy playing coat check. Maybe IF saw their moment, saw everyone extended far out, and took a lot of the positions the defense would retreat to because nobody was down there at the moment. That's what Arrow was doing, watching that position, and that's what Sub can do right now. Problem is, it's not working all too well. It almost collapsed drastically against IF, but Giddy's there entering small bake, rounds up 2 quick kills, and now Vivid's got the bomb on the floor. A 3rd kill for Livid, a 4th kill for Giddy as well. I said Livid there, that's how much it shocked me. Now Swalin's in the 1v3. Got info on Giddy. Will stop him, get a triple of his own. Dueling aces right now, and the player contending on IF is now taken off the board. And the odds of Swalen winning this are a lot higher. Grenade opening up that long wall gives a nice angle to Swalen, but unfortunately Inrio has the better one, and Swalen lacks the intel necessary. Pretty good round by IF. It just seemed like Benny, they flooded in, took those positions before the defense could retreat to them, got into bomb, planted. Pretty standard round.
It's pretty standard. They just bypassed the roam easily. You talked about code check, take control, code check, and that really cleared Giddy to just jump through, gain control, small bakery, get the kills he needed. He had a 4K the round, 3K
Yes.
the round. Yeah, he just walks in and starts fragging out left and right, lets his team take control of the site, and really it seemed like one shot maybe had a clue that they had intel that they were pushing in quickly, but nobody really sprung to action despite the intel in their favor, or at least telling them what's going on. And by the time they sprung to action, they had control at that point and really couldn't do much.
And that was still really not only just a good read and good call by IF, but good execution through that team. Exactly the kind of round you want to start out on, especially since you're the team that's not rested. You already played the BO3 today. You're going to be a little bit more tired than one shot. So picking up those rounds early on, exactly what you want to see. Let's see if they can do it in round number 2. One shot have rotated all the way up to the top floor, started out on kitchen, now lost it. They decided, you know what, let's not try that again. Let's go to cocktail and run a strategy that we have seen time and time again on this map, and today as well. You get the castle on the Aruni gates, put the castle on the cigar double door, Aruni gate on top of it. It's the strat as old as time, it seems like, at times. And usually a team, they'll play reserved back behind the pixel shield, maybe one inside a library as well, but it's the strat that we've seen time and time again today. And I imagine IF, considering they literally faced this strat about 3 hours ago, aren't going to be rusty
Did they,
when it comes to how they cleared it out.
I don't think
They
PB
did a couple
strat,
times,
actually.
I'm pretty sure.
I
I'm
think-
sure
I
they
think I
did it at
remember
least
seeing
once.
IF do the strat. I remember seeing PB do the strat.
Check.
Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. But either way, now we're going to see someone walking up red stairs. The storms will peek out and see Inreal walking up red stairs. Does a bit of damage, but he's going to back off seeing as he couldn't finalize that kill. And Swalin's downstairs on the first floor while crabbing through the kitchen. That could be a flank that no one from IF is aware of or may not expect later on when it comes to this play. But so far, nobody's looks like they're pushing on that stage window. I don't see anybody repelling on that side. So I wonder if IF even going for that same play. I'm assuming they are because they haven't brought a buck. They haven't brought anything to really facilitate a cocktail take.
And that's sort of the issue right now. If you don't have that vertical destruction, a cocktail take could work, but it requires a lot more to go right. Like, especially getting kills on these repels. Could be subarctic, could be arrow. You really need to get those kills on the repel. Otherwise, you're just kind of stuck staring at the floor. It's actually Kilo who can be the one to cause more destruction on this floor than anybody on the attack really can because of that lack of a buck. But this is why Inro's in this position. The key intel, kill it, land below Kilo. Ooh! Puts him to 1 HP, but Inrio's got the second nade, and if even a little bit of shrapnel enters the castle, he's dead. Not dead, but put on the floor and might be able to be finished off by Subarctic. I'm not sure. No, the angle doesn't favor him. He'll just sit there down for the moment.
He's just going to bleed out. And yeah, it should might get finished off here. The shots come through the floor. They have the intel. Swalen, though, is that player that was lurking. He'll get the kill on a Giddy, who was too litty last round, but he's dead early in the round. First pick for one shot. And so far, it seems like IF are trying to make this cocktail take happen, but they don't have quite the tools to make it really successful in a sense. They've only downed Kilo so far. Grenade may be the choice to pick him off. They're expecting a run out. Swalen with another kill on Inryu, who was on that second floor, and Swalen's been the menace to this round so far. Grenades come through, and otherwise, what control does IF have?
They don't really have much. I know Arrow earlier against PB, if we're going to bring up that game, he's worked that skylight position pretty well, but going here with how little map control they have, Kilo might have finally bled out, but IF don't exactly have a good or evident opening inside of this round. They might just have to repel on in and just send it, because Storms has cigar control, Quartz is holding in freezer with Swalen on white as well. All of those avenues are completely shut off. Swalen will instead jump out a triple for him. 2 triples in a row right now. Subarctic trades him out. But beyond that, again, it's the exact same spot we were. They just have one less body on the board for both of these teams. Slippery will get Subarctic. Arrow, the only one left. He has that EU1D. He's got the marks, but it doesn't matter because Storms is close with the shotgun. One shot, even up, 1-1. That seems to be the trend for IF's games, I feel. First half is always back and forth.
Well, let's see if it keeps back and forth, because that round it seemed like IF were trying for something different, seeing as they did that piano into a bathroom white take and bar so many times than last map. So maybe they're trying to vary it up and change up their strat, but they don't have quite the tools to do that because they're just trying to throw grenades at the floor. They didn't have good intel though. I would say they had great intel where Kilo was, but at the same point, they don't have a buck, so they're just throwing grenades to the floor trying to finish him off. And while they're doing that, you see Inrio and Giddy on that second floor trying to look around, trying to push the way maybe a white, and they have no clue that Swalin's just walking up those red stairs, flanks Inrio, Giddy goes, or flanks Giddy, Inrio goes down to him as well, and then he jumps out the white window, gets us 3K, and that's kind of the end of the round at that point.
So far, 2 rounds in which Swalen has had a massive impact. One, the first less so because they lost, and Sway was the only one who got any kills. The second one, a lot more, for all the reasons that you said. So if he continues having this impact, I think one shot or in for a good couple rounds, or maybe a couple clutches if Swalen can keep that performance up. They'll go to their third site so far, not wanting to go back down to kitchen, and Swalen is on the exact same operator he was just on, that Aruni. Likely to aid the extension on that top floor as well, and of course the Aruni gate at the entrance to reading room to make sure they can't just rush in, and they've got to at least burn it if they want to go for that play, or when they rotate down, they have to burn it as well. Those Aruni gates also to aid the shields on the top floor, and everybody sitting up there. Likely Slippery, maybe Quartz. Sometimes we see a smoke or a mute like to sit up there. Probably Kilo on the smoke if there's going to be any, but oh no.
Well,
now is not the time to get cocky, Swalen. We are 3 rounds in. Not yet.
He had a good 3K. He had to pop. He had to try to pop off the next round.
And I suppose Kool-Aid went for a spawn peek earlier and it worked. So
yeah, he was playing Goyo though, and I don't know where did he peek you? When did he just run out of like white door? Or where did he get that kill from? I don't even know. Yeah, also was white door. So well, I don't know. Peeking out that white window has never really worked out well though. So unfortunate for Swalen, he's not gonna have much of an impact this round out, and that starts off great for IF to push him off and give him a step forward in this clear. One person on that cocktail window, it looks like is the subarctic, trying to wait in time, waiting for that smoke to disappear. And well, so far Inrio's made his way in, and they're pushing these players back. He's pushing one shot back, but I'm assuming one shot at this point needs to make a play and even up that that personnel score line.
if they want to hold up top a little bit longer, perhaps, but if they want to rotate back earlier, they might not necessarily need to make a play. You don't really know exactly what Swalen's position was going to be, but their top floor defense is a little bit more uncertain now that Swalen has been taken off the board. Inrio retaking his normal position that we saw earlier, liking to push up that white hall to be the first to entry for his team. Worked to varying degrees of success earlier, but he's familiar with this pallet's position and what needs to happen. And now, minute 30, one shot start to rotate down. Kilo will rotate back up to catch a drone, but beyond that, he'll continue moving further and further down white window. Gone 6, caught by an ADS, will delay Inrio's push just a little bit longer. But Arrow still has those EE1Ds to make it happen. And here's the problem with Reading Room. As long as Giddy can open up these holes, it could be a minute 20 or 20 seconds left. The attack can still win.
Yeah, we saw in that last game between PB and One Shot. Or not PB1, PB and IF. It's just you could have no time left, and you still, if you have the vertical play necessary, and you have the people ready, and you push all the anchors back, and you have the necessary coverage, you can still make this happen with no time left on the board, which seems to be what they're going for. That vertical play here, pushing those players back so they can't push forward. Giddy with a great kill on the storms from above, and now at this point, if they can go for a play and have the necessary coverage, exactly what's going to happen. As C4 could stop him, but I don't believe there's no C4 available.
Nope. No C4 available. Quartz already used his. Vivid will actually spot Quartz, funny enough, the man we were just talking about. He'll manage to escape with his life. Vivid is on low HP, so Quartz might not have a C4, but if he just lands a couple shots, he could make it happen. Giddy whiffs a whole mag on somebody, but it doesn't matter, because Vivid's got the bomb on the floor. Quartz finally swings, but Arrow's there on the coverage, shuts him down. Slippery's alone inside of mine, and Keela's going for a late rotate up Brown, but Subarctic's going to win that fight. He's got the advantaged engagement, not only the high ground, but a better gun as well. With Slippery all alone in the 1v5, he could get Subarctic on New Balk. He will get Arrow first, who just sprints directly into his arms and pillar, but it's Vivid to get the trade in the end. A bomb, a kill, good play from the hard support, and good play overall from IF. Again, another round you can't really complain all that much about.
No, and again, we just talked about it too. We saw it in the PB game. IF could have like 10 seconds left, but if they have the necessary players in the positions they need to be and the vertical coverage, they win those rounds. Almost, I'm not gonna say 9 times out of 10, but they win them pretty often.
You could probably say 9 times out of 10 with how well they've been performing today. I mean,
it really could at this point, because yeah, that
maybe
was
not
another
9,
reading
maybe like
round,
7.
just like we saw from the PB game, where they were down to the last minute. They were running out of time, but They had Giddy above playing perfect coverage. They had Arrow playing the coverage for the planter. It's someone actually no, I think Arrow this time was actually Nubal playing above with still great coverage either way, and just denying all of the flanks and all of the aggression for one shot, which talent is sometimes. So we go back to reading room for a second try for one shot, and I'm assuming Swalen's not going to peek that window this time.
I'm gonna say that's a safe bet, Benny. I think if we were to make a prediction, I don't think he's gonna spawn peek, especially now that he's changed to Wamai. I say that actually. I feel like I've seen. I don't know. I can't say how many nickels I would have for every time I've seen a Wamai spawn peek, but I'd have at least 5 or 6, and that's annoying enough. It's actually funny. The most memorable one was in an IF match when they were SH. It was a Jolt and ran out of service doors. Wamai. That was kind of weird. But anyway, beside the point.
I think
Swalen,
we're going
yes.
to talk about it, actually.
Yeah, Swalen switching to Wamai. Dowdy's going to go for that same aggressive play. And honestly, it's not the same as the Aruni. You don't have that gate on the reading door, but you get those magnets. It still delays the clear up top a little bit longer. I think it's a good pick. Can't really go wrong either way. Helps the Goyo shield and Pixel as well. Solid pick.
Yeah, it's a good pick either way. Let's see how it works out for them. And well, this time IF should have more difficulty trying to clear above and gaining that control, as long as they don't have the man advantage too early. So this time they should have to deal with and fight off one shot's aggression on this top floor. It is going to open up that hatch as per usual. We're going to see IF thrown out these players, see what they're going to do, push on down. But Storms has a present for the first person to drop down that red hatch, and I wonder if IF is going to drone him out. I'm assuming they are. Hopefully they are.
You would say that, but we did just see in the Nocturnes game somebody literally drone out and look at someone, and then they still died. Oh, no, just nobody knows. Oh, it's fine. Didn't damage anybody.
He missed.
So, just Inrio ran into Cigar a bit too quickly. C4 missed. No harm, no foul. Lose some utility, but beyond that, everyone gets away scot-free. But there's another one. Quartz below Nubalk. Again, has he been droned? If somebody steps on that soft floor, they could find themselves the unwelcome recipient of a C4 to the feet. Nobody's stepping over there just yet. IF are continuing on with their standard clear, trying to get presence over in Whitehall, inside a long bar, and the C4 goes out. Found nothing. In fact, both C4s from the defense have now been utilized to a whole 0 impact, which is a little bit worrying on a reading room defense, I will say. How to give
if they don't have success on this roam, that is 100% worrying when it comes to that execute later on. Swalen playing over by this blowing up pallets. He's peeking out, trying to find a kill on somebody going Whitehall. They're trying to open up this single wall panel, or the panel pours cocktail to drive out these defenders. But of course, it's muted, so it's not going to work as well. Grenade comes on white stairs. Nobody's there. Second grenade should destroy that Vulcan shield, though. Push back Swalen, so about the same amount of time, but 30 seconds giving out. Slipper gets the first picks of Arctic, but he's refragged immediately. But still, there is time for IF, and Giddy's still on the board for them to take this control instead of execute. I don't know at this point. I wonder, is one shot still going to get aggressive and stop them? Because they have no utility to indirectly stop the plant.
Well, that's the problem. Kilo's out of smokes. They use their C4s early. They literally just have to take gunfights or do what Storms is doing and retake up top. He spots a drone, gets a little bit weary as opposed to whether or not he should make that play. Kilo also trying to attempt or thinking about attempting his same flank up round like he did earlier, and Storms will commit. He's sending it up red. Giddy won't whiff his shot on the Quartz this time. He lands it. Still a lot of bullets expended, but man advantage obtained, and even further so, thanks to Vivid's entry onto the site. It's now left up to Swalen and Storms to make this retake happen, and only one of those prongs is alive. Storms got his kill, rotates back down because he doesn't think this retake is going to happen in this 1v2 upstairs. He knows Vivid might be down below, knows there's at least one. Right now, the Hibana is inside a pillar. Once also dropped, spots him inside a laundry. Spaghetti's prone, and unfortunately for Storms, he can't hit the shots. The bullets sail over his head, and IF, they sail further in the lead, 3-1 right now.
That kind of was just a redo of the last round, really. It's just deja vu.
Pretty much, actually. It was like Swalen didn't die early, but the C4s were the biggest factor one shot had. They both missed, and IF were just like, okay, he's pushed. It's just...
Yeah, it's interesting because we've seen IF is always that team that at this point we can characterize. They have that slow execute, they create the execute, and then execute. And usually you would like some kind of utility to stop that from happening. But one shot in their aggressive nature has used that early in an attempt to thwart immediately, thwart the push from IF, but they failed both times. So, I guess, was it a good venture to try those, C4s early? Hard to say. In hindsight, no, but
it's also funny because the one round one shot have won was when Swalen got in the face of IF and disrupted their play. That's the one round one shot of one, and it worked extremely well. Since then, not only has Swalen been silent, or it's only been 4 rounds, it's not plenty of time for him to heat up. But the principle is the same. Nobody on one shot is really getting in their face. We saw a little bit with those C4s, and they missed. And beyond that, that was it. They didn't do anything else to try to stop IF's play,
I
it
keep
seemed.
calling one shot aggressive, but yeah, nobody really been taking fights, have they?
Yeah, it's only 4 rounds in. Plenty of time to change. But yeah, nobody's really... Maybe those C4s land, it's different. At least they tried there. But beyond that, in Swalin's attempt earlier, they're letting IF set up, and that's a dangerous gambit when you're fighting IF. That's how they won their series earlier. Just playing their game, setting it up.
Don't let them do that. I say that, but we'll see what happens here. And you said, yeah, there's still time left in this half. There's still 2 more rounds where they could tie this up for one shot, make it a 3-3 half, and that's a good bow to end that quarter or end that half for both teams. No, Storms, we're back to this same setup, though, having that player inside of Cigar and making sure that he stays there for as long as possible as we're on this top floor defense. And I still don't know if we saw this earlier from PB. I could be totally wrong. But so far, there's no Rooney. There's no Rooney this time, though, so it shouldn't be as difficult to deal with this castle barricade and stomp that player inside of Cigar Cubby. And the question is, I think Subarctic's ready for that drop as well to get that cutoff as well. So it should work well for IF, depending on, well, if they get that open.
Exactly the kind of setup you want to see. Stormers might be challenging the window, oddly enough. A bit of a dangerous fight. Both the attacker and defender are flashed. And no, look at this, Benny. Still aggressing with that shotgun. He even rotates across, somehow manages to get away. That was a really nice setup by IF, but Storm simply countered it with the logic of, I'm not rotating down. I'm staying up here. And it countered it perfectly. He did, I will say, that was risky. But the fact that he managed to come away, good work, making up 5v5. And now IF, they can continue on with their clear, but did not get an easy kill like I think they all thought they would.
Oh, yeah, I would say even though they didn't get a kill playing Cigar, the defenders one shot still looking good here as they still keep him alive. You know, Storm just walks away, keeps himself alive, and now IF having wasted most of the round on that venture, get nothing from it, and now they finally have to push into, you know, Piano and push out the player in Pixel. So it's looking good for one shot so far, though anything could change, especially with how IF plays in these dying seconds of these rounds. Slippery was playing aggressive on those red stairs. Look, he's backed off the site, and he's allowing for, you know, IF to make their move. As Swaylen gets the first pick, though, onto Vivid. Great shot from Pixel. And this is like before when we saw Parabellum. They played so well when it comes to just waiting for IF to make the play here.
And that's exactly what Swaylen does. Pixel, a minute left, Pixel still not cleared out. Swaylen gets 2 kills from that position. Arrow finally punishes him and shuts him down, but you've already lost your Hibana and your entry from Inrio. 2 players who, one has been getting all of your plants, the other is the main one who opens things up in the late game. You've lost Giddy as well, who usually does that, either for Inrio or when Inrio isn't doing it. And all you've got left is Arrow and Subarctic, 2 of your more passive players in effect and in role. Arrow now has to pick up the pace, though he is a very good performer on that role. A 3v2 isn't out of the realm of possibility, but Slippery has caught Arrow off guard. He will take some damage, and in fact taken out in the end. With only 5 seconds left, he's the only one alive, diffuser in hand, but not enough time to get these final 2 kills. One shot have at least secured themselves a 4-2 half, and potential for a 3-3, depending on what they can do in the next round.
Yeah, still, I thought to say ending a 40-half wouldn't be good though for the defense on Kafe.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Unless we see, well, I say that too, but one shot on their attack have looked pretty good in the past, but on Kafe, I don't remember the Kafe game actually. It was a while ago, so I can't remember what the sides were like.
It was in the PB one shot game. The favorite side was attack in that game. PB went 4-2, and so did one shot on their attacks.
Oh. So it could be an attacker side Kafe here.
Potentially.
Seeing as that's the case, really. Because, yeah, one shot has been a great team on both sides, and their attacking sides on most maps have been pretty freaking good. So it could be like that. It could be a 4-2 half both sides. It could go overtime for all I know. But we'll see as we go into the last round of the half and go back downstairs to the kitchen, cooking kitchen service, which was IF's first win as they just able to push into sight, get that control as they knew there were 3 members for one shot upstairs roaming, and they were able to bypass them pretty damn well.
They just ran into Kochek, ran into bottom white, or held bottom white, stopped anybody not only from rotating back down, but took the very spots they would rotate back to. And one shot are running that exact same setup with pretty much, I believe, everyone on the same ops. Swaylen on the Vigil was the big one that we saw in that round. He was the only one for his team to get kills, and they both came when the round was already lost at that point. I think it was like a 1v4 by the time Swaylen started getting those kills, but either way, it was still Swaylen in that round who was the one to show up. If he can do that maybe a little bit earlier, or even then, if one shot can hold off on the site a little bit longer, that's good. But what they need to do again is put obstacles in the path of IF. Make it difficult to clear out these roamers. Or if they're going to bypass it, account for that. and maybe try to bunker down a little bit more, rotate a bit earlier. I don't know what it is, but there needs to be something that stops IF from taking hold in this site.
I'd say they respond. Yeah, respond in a better sense at that point, or in a timely sense. I'm not sure. Like it depends, because last time you talked about like the fact that they had set up all the angles to cut them off from rotating. So the question is, how do you rotate without getting cut off like that? And assuming
point.
that the only way to do that would be if freeze was open. If they left freezer open, or if they reinforce it, or if they, they looks like, yeah, they have to go down the hatch next time. So hopefully, they're able to rotate back into sight if that happens. And so far, it looks like IF are doing sort of the same, where they're trying to bypass the roamers, but a much slower sense, because they're going for a bakery take. They're not kind of rushing into pro check or anything. So at this point, IF, they could use this vertical hatch. You could use some of that roam and vertical presence against them if they were to make that play, because otherwise, what is IF's not really going for a quick, great shot. Oh, wow, that almost a headshot.
If I were drinking water, I would have spit it out after that pre-fire, but unfortunately Slippery jumps out and takes Arrow down, so nice shot, but not only did it not kill Swaylen, you actually ended up dying shortly after that, so that's unlucky, I suppose. Losing the Lion as well, done a lot for IF's attacks, especially in the late game, being able to use those EE1Ds pushing into sight to freeze the defenders, either rotating back or inside the site. It's problematic, and now Swaylen is allowed to be unleashed in his full form on bottom white. He now either rotates up or rotates down. I'm not sure which, but either way, he's taken down Inrio, and actually he's inside a train and not at all aware of Giddy's presence, despite the earlier shots whizzing by his leg. Unfortunate for Swaylen, but still the man advantage for one shot, unless Subarctic manages to get this kill and Storms gets a little bit too aggressive.
Still a minute to go, and Giddy has control upstairs, so he can use that vertical pressure against these anchors. But with the horizontal play, it could be big. Storms gets pushed out of code check, has to go red stairs, and there's a run out actually from the Mozzie of Slippery. There's a lot of damage, but unfortunately cannot get the kill. But at least will scare Subarctic into pulling back and being aware of his presence, as Giddy though gets the kill of Storms, as he was on red stairs, so he's able to get that pick off coming back on red stairs. So this could still be an IF win, but there's only 40 seconds left to go, and they don't have a lot of control here. Well, at least have Bakery, and they can't push into sight.
The one problem here is there a lot of pressure, a lot of players watching the prep side of things, because we know they're long bar, they know they're bakery double door, but are they watching that? Doesn't matter as much now that One Shot have taken the man advantage back, but Kilo will open up that bakery wall, move on in. Can One Shot directly counter this? They have those yokais, but they're driving on over. Vivid might be able to get the bomb down successfully. The smoke canisters go short as well. This is a lot different of a situation than what we saw previously. Now with Quartz down as well, it's effectively a 2v2. Slippery on low HP. This is by far a much more winnable round than it was previously. Kilo now stuck in the 1v2. The very same person who was delayed on those yokais. The round is now gone. A 4-2 half for IF. And One Shot we're watching red, VIP, brown stairs, and white. But the one place they didn't control, Benny, was bakery, and that's where IF won the round.
Yeah, they're able to not having a, because remember they shot the yokai earlier in the round, which Vivid at that point they knew they could walk in and get that plant down, was huge on their part. And the fact that even though Giddy did die, it still had the control they needed, and there weren't players ready to stop that. I guess because the big thing too as well, even though One Shot had early kills, great early round from side of One Shot, but Giddy getting the pick onto the player upstairs inside of train, gaining that vertical control, pushing those players back and getting the kill on the player red stairs allowed for that bakery take to work out, and then destroying the yokai made it happen, which you had to bring the yokai in late. Plant goes down. You're in a post plant situation once again, and it's the big thing. Every single round they've won has been a post plant.
It definitely seems to be the skeleton key for IF. If they get that bomb down, no matter the chances, no matter the odds, the round always seems to go in their favor if they get that bomb on the floor. Of course, 4-2 half on attack, as we mentioned earlier. Now IF on the defense. I said at the beginning that just because IF are starting on the attack, it does not mean they're going to go down to the half at all. You can say the same for One Shot right now. At least in history, they still looked extremely good on their attacking half of Kafe. So this could be a very close game between these two teams, reminiscent of, well, I was going to say reminiscent of the one we saw PB earlier, but that was not very close, actually. So in theory,
that wasn't reminiscent of that at all.
I was caught myself before I made that false analogy. In theory, that should have been a close game, but it was not. But One Shot did beat PB, so take that as you will.
Yeah, true. Well, let's see how One Shot do here on their attack so far. And the question is, IF again on their defenses aren't the most aggressive. They've never really played the roam. They always played that horizontal roam game here. So really maybe behoove One Shot to go for that vertical pressure in the early round. Looks like at this point, no, Bakery's the first step. One Shot have already walked in, took control of Bakery. They've destroyed that first shield. And there's nobody really here to stop them from walking in farther. Though, again, there's still things like the yokai in play to give them really good intel as well, though. But the switch drones could be that that counter you need.
It could be, but it appears that One Shot aren't getting nearly as aggressive as that initial foray into Bakery made it seem like. They go in, they get that shield, they see nobody's playing it, there's no ADSs or Remise on it, since there are no ADSs or Remise being brought by IF. Easy nade. Don't need to worry about it all that much. Now they can rotate up, start clearing out that third and that second floor, which in particular is where Inrio is playing currently. There's Quartz currently inside a library for reading. But Inrio rotates back up, likely to help out Giddy, who's currently facing some pressure from that new hatch. Put him down just a little below full HP, nothing all too crazy. And it's Inrio who did rotate back up to find Slippery as the first pick, taking down the Yana with those nades, that Gone 6, and going for a second as well. Nope, easy pre-fire by Storms. Maybe not easy, definitely a successful one.
So I guess there was room. I was wrong, but still, that was a great shot from Inrio, and then a good refrag there. So it's trade 1-for-1. Get rid of one of the C4s on the side of Mozzie. Do lose some grenades from Slippery, but it's still with a minute 15. The vertical pressure can happen. Is there still another play? Giddy's still roaming, and they're starting this vertical pressure. Giddy could prove to be a great end game, just flank there for IF as he's looking around. I don't know what intel he has or where he knows any players are at, but if IF can give him some cues to play off of, this could be huge, because otherwise, looks like they're making the push into Baker using that vertical pressure to cover and stop anything from pushing back in.
Hello, Swalen. What are you doing right now? Crouch walking down red stairs all silent-like. Won't stop Vivid from getting a kill onto one of your teammates. That's Storms, but he could get Subarctic completely unaware. There you go. Does he send it into sight? Yes, he catches Vivid off guard. Starting to pick things up based on that sneaky little play. Arrow currently trapped inside a bunker. Manages to get one kill fighting his way on out, but it's still Swalen alive, and Kilo, I was about to say gets the bomb down, but he falls back off. Not at all certain just yet. Arrow is on low HP, so they could manage to get control inside the site. Yokai shot as well. He's just sitting in bunker right now. They seem very hesitant at taking him out until that very last second. But here's Giddy on his roam, taking the very path Swalen took just a couple seconds ago. Can he stop the plant? No, he cannot. He's full flashed as well in all likelihood. No, it's a smoke grenade, in fact. But it actually covers his entry by just a little bit. Doesn't matter. Kilo comes off, spots him. One shot. Again, looking fairly solid on their attacks. Good one to start out.
Plant once again. It was stopped there at the end there, but unfortunately, Giddy was a bit too slow on that flank. But let's go from the start there. There was a roam game happening from the side of IF. It was two players on the top floor. I wasn't sure if One Shot was going to engage at first, though, but they finally ended up doing so later into that round. And they were able to get control. They had traded out one of those roamers, but Giddy was still alive. And I thought Giddy was going to get big on that flank to stop that push, because you saw they're able to take control of Code Check. They take control of Red Hall, and that's big because that's just a drop from Quartz inside a freezer. That pinch onto those players on site was huge from One Shot. Great placement, great coordination to great control of that double door. Jump through that the sink window, jump and destroy the players who were on site, take control and try to get the plant down. The yokai was still big there because he still had Arrow inside a bunker. But in the end, it wasn't really enough, though, because they had so much control. They could just 2v1 Arrow in bunker at that point. And Giddy was a bit too late to even come with the play, try and help him out.
For One Shot, did see a 6 pick come out. Rotation from the Nomad to the Twitch. Maybe to try and make IF a little bit more uncertain about retaking on this second floor, as we saw One Shot do when they are on their attempt at defending reading. We saw Storms try to retake up red. There was no Nomad on the board at that time, but maybe from One Shot they're just deciding, you know what, let's make IF a little bit more weary before they go sending it up a staircase as we try to take that top floor. Swalen also rotating to the Twitch. Clearly doing well for himself so far. Got to believe there's a 3K overall, Crouch walking down those red stairs and entering into the site. Not necessarily the same opportunity here. I don't think we'll see him make that kind of play. But if he's feeling it, we could find himself take a little bit of the entry engagements, push down white like we saw from Inrio. With the smokes as well, not only could he be useful in entering, he is top fragging so far, but also with those smokes could be useful in the execute as well.
Could go for a smoke execute.
You certainly could.
It could happen. But hey, we're on reading Fireplace defense, and it's a smoke execute worked out fine, but we saw from, like I said before, IF's attacks, though, was big and just pushing out these players and gaining the control despite even the time could be, crucial. The fact that you still have a, having that sledge, having that vertical play is big on this round. So I'm wondering if, IF are going to try and stick here for longer, or if they're gonna bounce out as fast as One Shot did on theirs. And that kind of was the issue on both times they played it. Was I feel like One Shot bounced too early, allowing for IF to gain the control and gain that vertical pressure to give that execute happening. So will IF stay up here longer and actually try to take fights? That's a good question so far. They have quite a few bunkers like Kaid, the Electric Claw, aiding player and Freezer to stay in there for as long as possible, but it's in a place I feel like a grenade could still destroy it.
We've seen the grenade be sometimes successful, sometimes not. A couple times throughout today, I believe actually it might have been just shot. Actually, I'm not entirely
I
sure.
think it might have been, yeah.
I didn't hear a nade blow up, so if that was shot, that was a great angle from the Hibana, or it was placed in a kind of awkward spot. But either way, you can open it up now, so that's nice. But to go to your concerns, Benny, talk about IF. The whole reason that One Shot bounced back early was because they lost sway early on, so they felt like they needed to rotate back. Right now, with the 5v5, nobody from IF has given away any ground on that top floor, in part because One Shot haven't made all that much progress, giving them any cause for concern. That's going to change momentarily, though. I want you to keep that in mind, because Slippery and Quartz are both pushing white right now. I say that right as it happened, where somebody just vaulted over the stairs and rotated back down. So, not entirely true anymore, but Slippery's managed to work his way up to those stairs. Subarctic is rotated back down, and now Slip has to contemplate taking an engagement with a couple of the players either down below or moving down those red stairs, or those white stairs. Everyone's been cleared out. They can get this vertical control, and even though it's 45 seconds left, still a 5v5 again. If the attackers have the vert on reading, their chances of winning the round increase dramatically.
It is still C4 available in the hands of one player, Vivid, so they could still try to deny the plant. But really, the positioning of the rest of the defense players is going to be huge here if they can actually pounce on the the one-shot execute here, or if they can reign control. But the first grenade kill, the first kill of the round is Storm. Swaylin jumping on another kill too there. It's looking bad for IF as the plant's going down. No C4 available. They just gotta take fights. Arrow gets one kill. Sabarta with another kilo. The plant's down though. It's a post plant now. With Slippery, Storms, and Swaylin, they still have vertical control. Arrow pushes pillars, loses life. And unfortunately now, that last two players in Sabartic and Inrio have low HP, and they're just kind of cornered running around. Sabartic's actually trying to flank the player inside a train. Unfortunately, could not get the kill. Swaylin swings, kills Inrio. Now it's just Sabartic in a 1v3.
Yeah, with 1 HP as well, might have been able to land that kill on a Swaylin had the bullets not careened into a display case, but unfortunately they did. Swaylin gets another round where he can pad his stats on the scoreboard, and One Shot, I should say, have also evened up the score count. Overall, it is 4-4 currently for One Shot on their Kafe attacks, and they've won Kitchen and Reading, two of the primary bomb sites that the defense likes to go to. And IF not opting to try Cocktail just yet, will instead rotate back downstairs to Kitchen, where, in all fairness, while One Shot did win it, it wasn't super highly in their favor. A lot of it was because Swaylin just crouched, walked down red, got a couple kills, and opened things up. But for IF, there was certainly a lot of hope for them in that round overall. So if you're looking to kind of wash the taste out of your mouth from this Reading defense, where they didn't have much to say on stopping the attack from moving on in, they sat there for a couple minutes, but were cleared out pretty quickly. I think there's a pretty easy adjustment to make for watching those red stairs, and that take Arrow, take his Yokai, watch bottom red. That way, unless it's shot, of course, could be shot, but if it's not shot, you get that intel. Just have someone watch it, so he can't crouch walk anymore, and that play's not nearly as impactful.
How about this? Swaylin's had what? I think he's had 3 or 4Ks both rounds so far to attack.
And he had 2 3Ks to start out the game, so he's had a pretty good game so far.
Yeah, I guess Swaylin's actually playing today. That's crazy. I thought his brother was gonna play.
10 seconds left before
actually, also, we've had
5 seconds to go.
5 plants so far out of 9 rounds, or 8 rounds.
I would say, yeah, every single round the attack has won has always been a plant.
I like it. I'm a big fan of that trend. I
Yeah.
like it a lot.
Let's see if it keeps going though or not. Let's see
It
how
won't.
One Shot does this, and whether or not are there roamers from IF once again, like we saw from earlier, like those 2 roamers. Inrio gets a
not many.
trade last time when they played this, and Giddy kind of just waited until the end of the round.
All right, now, Benny, doesn't appear anybody's extending far off the site, and that the farthest somebody is off the site is Kochek and Bakery. So, not very far away from home, our IF currently. Is a little bit risky, of course, playing inside a Bakery while they do have ADSs and magnets. We saw how isolated Kool-Aid was earlier when IF played on, played against Parabellum on Bakery, but it's a little bit of a different situation. Not exactly the same. We'll have to see how the round transpires before we can pass judgments on that regard. Despite the fact that most players for IF are on the site, or not too far away from it, One Shot are full clearing the map. They're clearing out that 3rd floor and that 2nd floor, which isn't terrible because checking all their bases, they'll get that map control quickly, but it will take a little bit more time. But then again, It's not going to blame them. We have the dramatic irony of this situation. It's not their fault.
Yeah, exactly. It's always how it is. But they're gonna fully take control, and they're gonna take their time looking around, make sure, like you said, check their bases, make sure nobody's roaming, nobody's being aggressive on the side of IF. And at that point, now they can go to work and open up that floor and try to deal with these players on site. But again, since they're all horizontally across like this, they're not gonna find much from the vertical pressure, as IF are expecting this play. And really, it kind of works out, but at the same point, if they can somehow deal these players and set them up for where they know these players are at, it still could work out for One Shot. It's gonna be interesting to see what One Shot go for. They're gonna go for bakery, or they're gonna go for the freezer drop, as well. The freezer, at least the freezer, is Kaidi for the moment, but I'm pretty sure electric claw would be easy to get with the grenade.
I was about to say, whether or not they get that freezer hatch open, they are heavily investing towards white right now. But as you said, they could send a nade on through, likely destroy this Cade. Can they? Yes, they can. So they can open that hatch up pretty easily, and I imagine in the final minute, they're going to dedicate their resources fully to a freezer drop, aided by Storm's vertical holes, which manages to find Vivid, getting a bit aggressive. Not to blame Vivid for that. That was a very nice and a very tight angle held by Storms that just managed to perfectly silhouette Vivid as he was playing around that bomb chassis, and it's good that Storms removed that. That's a very strong position to take down, as well as a very strong operator in Smoke, who could have choked out that freezer drop. Inrio is going to be the other big thorn in the side for the attack right now, but he too is seeming to be in a position where he's going to fall pretty quickly with how many members of One Shot are all piling ready to take him down or play for the trade if he falls.
Oh.
He's put down on the floor, so Slippery on the back of that can rotate into sight. Unfortunately, he's not aware of Subarctic, who gets 2 kills, though it's still effectively a 3v2 with Inrio on the floor. Arrow on low HP as well, the last one alive, not once again, but in a position with 10 seconds left. If he's gone on red, he could get these yokai cams out, but no, Swaylin reads into that. Peeks out, lands the shots, One Shot take the lead.
Hey, they didn't even get the plant down that round.
That is true. Remember when I actually jokingly said at the beginning of the round that it's not going to keep through. We're not going to have a plant down. I was actually joking. I thought we would, but no, that was just I didn't need to get the plant down.
They didn't bomb the round, surprisingly, though, even though it was looking scary there, because you saw Subarctic kill both players walking into bunker, dropping the diffuser. I was kind of scared there for One Shot, but Swaylin's there, and Swaylin's got an F2, and that seems to be like the literal menace of the entire game so far.
It's kind of funny because right now One Shot are in the lead to the point where they said, I have decided to take a timeout. Swaylin is about to break 20 kills, and I don't know about that last round, but I'm pretty sure Quartz might still have 0. That goes to show how much Swaylin is doing right now. Like, one of their players, again, Quartz hasn't always been the biggest performer, so it's not the worst. He is on Zofia though, so that's kind of unfortunate. But he's not been the big player for One Shot, and Swaylin, who has been one of those big players, has been put on Twitch, taken off a hard breach, and he seems to have been unleashed in this game so far. So good work from One Shot. Right now for IF, I imagine, well, you can see it on the screen, probably going to go to Cocktail because Kitchen and Reading have just not worked. In fact, any defensive site they've gone to has not worked. So taking this time out to go over exactly how they want to conduct that defense on their first attempt of Cocktail, I imagine is what's going on in those comps.
Yeah, it was interesting because like that round they didn't roam at all. There was no picks early in the round, and the vertical pressure didn't really do much though. Well, actually, I say that. They got that 1 kill on to Vivid, who was playing behind the bomb chassis. That was the only kill they got off the vertical pressure. But even though they had, even though the vertical pressure didn't do much, and the players were in the places they expected to be, they still didn't win any of those fights otherwise. After pushing through freezer, dropping down, take control of VIP, denying the person in VIP and playing aggressive. And while Subarctic did get 2 picks on the players coming in, it still was Swaylin walking in from red, getting those kills he needed to, and it seems like One Shot just playing gunplay wise a lot better for whatever reason. Or just Swaylin, because Swaylin's crazy.
I was about to say, like, no diss to One Shot right now, but everyone is either even or negative except for Swaylin, who is 19-6. I'm just going to leave that number there. I don't need to say anything else about that. That's said enough. Also, Quartz did get a kill. Don't mean to undersell him. He did get a kill.
Hey.
Yeah, it's 1/19th of what Swaylin has right now, and that's more so demonstrable of Swaylin's efforts than anything, who we've hyped up a lot previously, but now he's definitely showing up currently. IFR? Benny, what do you know? We talked about, like, hey, this defense, did PB run it? Did PB not run it? We know IF ran it, and that's exactly what they're running right now. Running that castle, that Aruni barricade, combined with the Goyo to put a shield and pixel, and likely one inside a bathroom as well. Also, no, never mind. I was about to say, I couldn't tell where that was for a second. It's inside a cigar, so this is pretty much the standard setup, except... Do they have a castle barricade on that double door? I don't think they do.
I'm assuming they would put
Oh, there we go.
There.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say they have.
I was about to say, like, wow, that's...
I was just saying.
I was like, you have 4. Why not put one there? They put one there. Okay, we're good.
So now we're gonna see One Shot go to work and deal with that expected setup that we've seen so many times from so many teams, and how well they can, deal with this setup that we've seen from some of the teams. And well, yeah, the first part's gonna be, destroying that castle barricade, getting rid of that Rooney gate. Slippery looking for someone to peek out that bathroom window or the pixel peek, but nobody's peeking from the side of IF. They're all sticking and waiting. And see the Twitch drone coming through. Now, I lied. Someone did peek, actually.
You can't.
I entirely lied.
Bomb located by attackers.
You just can't be doing that. You just can't be doing that. Subarctic just gives his life away at that point. Behind the shield, that's the pixel player as well. That is very unfortunate.
I didn't think he'd peek.
Well, I did not think he'd peek either, but right now the problem is Inrio does peek and get Slippery, but Vivid did not peek. He rotated down because, well, he was cleared out of his position inside of Cigar. Rotates down, exactly what One Shot were waiting for. Rotates directly into their arms. So while One Shot have lost Slippery, they've lost pretty much nothing in terms of map control. They're getting everything they want to and more right now. But Giddy could certainly say that as well. That was a very satisfying gunfight to watch.
Definitely. That was just a pre-fire, and you just pre-fire back at them. And so far, they cleared out Vivid. They've technically gotten the kill on the pixel player, but someone has taken their place, namely Arrow has. So really, a lot of gunfights, but One Shot haven't really taken much control, and really haven't actually cleared out Pixel, unfortunately, because they didn't get rid of the shield. So they're kind of still on that square one, and the question is, what utility do they have left to deal with this utility, do these shields inside of Pixel, inside of Freezer, and by Cocktail as well? So these players now at this point have to just take gunfights, though One Shot is known for their prowess in their gunplay, so this still could go in their favor.
The one player I'm worried about right now is Inrio just hiding behind that longbow. I imagine One Shot are anticipating somebody playing Cocktail, but do they know that the Jaeger has crept up from that position to hiding behind one of the small bars next to the bomb chassis? Don't know if they have. Kilo's standing on the... Oh, no. Did we... I believe the stream has frozen. That is unlucky. Well,
The computer died.
That's unfortunate. Let's yeah, game crashed. So that
Okay,
is,
so the computer. I thought the computer died. Actually, that would have been scary.
Can you imagine?
Our
if,
observer's like,
oh,
the computer's dead. I'm like,
our observer machine blue screen. Well, guess we'll just keep. That's not. That was a joke. Just to make sure everyone's aware, that was a joke. So yeah, game crashed. That is unfortunate. However, that does mean if it was just our observer, the round is still going on, and we should know the result, whether or not One Shot on match point, or if IF managed to recover and even things 5-5. And considering the round was 30 seconds left, Benny, I imagine it's probably finishing up. Oh, now?
you want to make a bet? You want to make a bet right now?
Whether it's still going or if it ended? I mean, the more we talk, there was not a lot of time left. You could win a bet by the... Like, they could have ended there. And now it's probably close enough to the point where the round is definitely over at this point. So, yeah.
Who do you think won? Who do you think won?
All right, well, let's dissect it. Who do we think won? So what did IF have? They had Inrio playing up behind one of the small bars on Cocktail,
Yep.
somebody playing by the bomb,
Bathroom.
all the way by White Window, and somebody in Bathroom.
Yep.
One Shot, while they got 2 of those kills, they hadn't pushed in yet. As you said, they were still kind of on square one with their clear.
Yep.
I would say, based on the way they were looking, I'm going to say One Shot won. I'm going to say they got those kills.
Okay.
That Inrio,
All right.
I'm going to say Inrio peeked up, got shot, and then at that point they played the
You were
trace.
right. You were right.
You can't see it, actually. You can't see, but I was right. That was actually a pure guess right there.
He actually was. I was gonna guess One Shot too, actually, because again,
Oh,
like
yeah?
I said, despite,
Yeah, were you, Benny? Huh?
I was gonna say.
Sounds like some bandwagoning from what I hear.
So, but like again, like I said before, despite like they were in square one clear wise, One Shot have always been known for just being able to get kills and defy all odds. We've seen from IF as well when it comes to their attacks, when it comes to like the last 20 seconds, and they're totally just running into the site and flooding. So to see One Shot win that round, not too crazy. But at the same point, I do really wonder what happened in that last dying, 20 seconds and how they won the round there. Because really, like I saw before, like Lynx was talking about, you had players in the bathroom, players behind in the bar, waiting for the push. They were in perfect positions to deny the plant and deny the execute from the side of One Shot.
I guarantee One Shot pushed in and just won those gunfights. Guarantee it's how they won, because that was about the only way they could have won, in all fairness. Unless, I believe Storms did still have 2 nades. So he could have sent in a late nade and got a kill, but beyond that, round was probably won by gunfights. We are having a full rehost, by the way, just because sometimes when the observer rejoins the lobby, the controls to like pause are a little bit finicky. So we're gonna have a full rehost, reset the lobby, input all the bans and things like that. But again, it's 6-4 match points. So even once we get back, we might not be here very long if IF can't mount a comeback, which would be a shame, especially after their game earlier to go down, losing regulation on their map pick. Obviously, that's not the start they want because it's their map pick. They don't want to lose it. But just especially
and then we go to their map pick.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. While Chalet is One Shot's map pick, it is kind of neutral ground between the teams. Like, sure,
Is it?
I know
So
I
if
have.
you go,
I
if you
know.
go back and
Okay, hold on, Benny. Calm down. Stop it. I hear what you're saying. I'm gonna make a point.
all right,
Despite the fact that IF lost to Outlast in the second week of CL, I believe it was the second week.
yeah,
It's-
week 2. Yeah, you're correct.
It's still a map where go check the bans if you want to. Go check the bans. It is a map that they appear to be comfortable on, that they're willing to go to, that they let go later on in the ban phase. It's not like one of their perma-bans like Villa or Coast that they ban pretty much every week. It's a
Yeah,
map
'cause
that
they only banned it that first week, and then they banned it during our last game or earlier game today, and that was it.
see, there you go.
So,
It's
sure,
a map
could
they're
be.
fine going to. I had a point. Just let me make it.
And it is interesting because One Shot does have quite a few VODs on their Chalet game too, because they
true.
played Chalet so many times.
weeks in
They
a
played
row.
twice in a row. Yeah, twice in a row. So it's interesting that One Shot picked Chalet, despite how many the VOD review on them playing Chalet. And well, of course, there is a VOD of IF playing it too. So it would be interesting to see how it plays out. Though this could be the last round, as we say that.
That's true. But again, also those VODs are kind of they're not like inapplicable, but
No,
for
for
one
the
shot
season.
for one shot they were from on week 1 and 2, and for IF I think it was from week 2 as well. Like there's a good possibility that some things might have been tweaked since then, but they are still applicable, as you said. They're not like completely useless. But we
Yeah,
are,
but so yeah, it was week 1 and 2 for One Shot. It was week 3 for IF. So or week 2, yeah, week 2.
oh, well,
week
that
2
makes all
for
the
IF,
difference
so.
actually. That week 3 VOD it's basically like current information at that point. Like it's that extra week really does so much.
Oh my god.
But we are about to get back in the match. We're just getting ours from the players in chat. But as you said, this could be the last round. One Shot would win 7-4 on their opponent's map pick. I mean, from what we've seen so far, they've won 4 attacking rounds in a row. The most recent of which, just seemingly by walking in and getting kills almost in the vein of Investigation File. I mean, Benny, do you think that IF have the 2-round comeback in them?
Well, the question is, what site did they go to?
Yeah, that's kind of a fair point. They have not won a single one so far, so...
Like, I guess maybe the bar and cocktail
Mining?
was the closest per se when it comes to kills.
That's actually a good question. Maybe the closest when it came to kills. We don't know how it ended out, but it was a 3v3 when we last saw it.
Because like the rest of them have been pretty dominant
know.
by One Shot.
I wouldn't say pretty dominant, but pretty dominant, yeah.
It's been Swaylin getting 3Ks, 4Ks for God's sakes.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue right now. Swaylin just does
Yeah.
not want to lose.
Swaylin's just on a tear in playoffs right now because it is playoffs. He's probably freaking out, doing his best, and it's just again if they can shut down Swaylin, they probably could. Well, actually, no, was Swaylin even alive at the end of last round? I don't think he was actually.
Is this also the third time Swaylin has 6-pick from the Nomad at the Twitch? I feel like it's happened like 18 times, this specific 6-pick.
He just keeps picking Twitch.
Is anybody falling for it at this point? He's played Twitch every round. Who are you fooling? Oh, we've also lost Swaylon's score count. That's unfortunate. And I have a terrible memory
Oh
for
yeah,
those
he
kind
was
of
on.
stats.
I think he died early that round though, so I think he's still on. Oh no, he played Nomad last round because he got the first pick as Nomad.
Oh! No, he didn't. I don't
Yeah,
think he
he
did.
did. Remember
I thought Slip got the pick on the sub.
Oh, was that Slip? I can't remember. I might be wrong. Too,
Yeah, it was-
actually.
they're
They
both they're both using the ARX. Same gun.
Yeah, I couldn't remember who it was. Like I just remember the ARX. That's all I remember.
But Benny, we were talking about what site does IF go to. They have lost Kitchen twice, Reading once, so their options were like, do we go to Reading? Do we go to Cocktail? Decided to go with the latter. Try out the site that they just played the most recently of. So, is that a little risky? Also, shout out to our producer who sent the score count in the chat. Swaylin ended that round with 19 kills still, so he is still on the verge of breaking 20, but he's not done it just yet.
Yeah, I thought that Swaylin didn't get any kills that round. I couldn't remember though because it was quite a round to go through. But yeah, no, he didn't get any kills that round unfortunately because it was unfortunately he didn't do much there. But still, yeah, we go back upstairs and it seems a bit different though. I think last time they did the same where they just have the same kind of full freezer reinforcements, so you can't go between bathroom and freezer. Same thing as before. They aren't having the player play inside a cigar this time, though, so Vivid will not be playing for his life in there. This time they're just going to have, the hatch open and the Rooney gate to make it, somewhat difficult to walk through from cigar into piano. So there's a lot less aggression per se from the side of IF. We'll see how different it goes, though, because otherwise, how are they going to stop that incoming flood from one shot? Maybe a C4 from below. But here comes, the taser shot down. There goes Twitch drone. So otherwise, hopefully nobody peeks out this time, because last time we saw that, Slippery gets that first pick as someone peeks out, lose their life from Pixel, which is kind of an unfortunate start.
Yeah, hopefully Sabartic doesn't get nearly as aggressive this go around, especially because now he was playing at Rooney before, now he's playing Wamai, a lot more important of a role this go around, so you don't want to be giving your life away as brazenly as you did previously. We'll continue getting some drones at the moment, letting those magnets regen in tandem, so a lot of time waste, potential for time wasting at his disposal right now. The more magnets he layers on the couches and the various walls inside of Christmas. Beyond that, again, Benny, it seems like a similar thing to the previous round. One shot taking a long time to clear out Pixel because half the round's gone, and has anybody entered the building? I'm not too sure.
Nope, nobody's entered the building. Arrow is below, though. He's playing a Rooney below, though, so it's interesting to see what he'll do from below. Some damage done to Subarctic through a grenade, I believe. Destroys the shield inside a bathroom, and Storms is aware of somebody roaming below, but doesn't know the exact position, just pre-firing into train. And so far, it is that same amount of time where One Shot hasn't really done much. They haven't cleared, I think they actually have cleared Pixel, though. They cleared Pixel, they cleared the bathroom shield, so they are technically on a faster route compared to before. In we are running through reading, looking for maybe somebody from One Shot who's roaming up, but they're actually walking through Whitehall right now, actually.
Well, and the issue here as well is before we saw before the game crashed was that it was a 3-3 moving into this execute, and now it's just a 5v5 pushing into this execute. Man count even once again. Little asterisk there as Subarctic is low on HP, but he's rotated down. Could contest from pillars, perhaps. That might be my guess, or rotate back up White. Either way, beyond that, most people on IF are on full HP. Vivid peeks out, downs Vivid, but unfortunately has to rotate back as all of One Shot is pushing up Whitehall right now. Storms manages to flick, take down the low health Subarctic, with Giddy the only one left. He's trapped inside a freezer. Kilo down on the floor. Easy pre-fire for One Shot to round out. Quartz gets his second kill of the match, I do believe, and it's a 7-4 for One Shot. Despite the little progress they made, the stagnation we seemed, 3 to 4 people send it up White, and miraculously, they all emerge victorious.
What happened that round again?
3 to 4 people sent it up White. And Vivid was like, oh, I'll swing out with the SMG-11, kill the guy. Oh, there's 4 of them. That's an issue.
That was crazy because there was smoke there too, and they just walked through the smoke like it wasn't there. They're just 4-man pushing down the Whitehall because they couldn't get into freezer. I believe someone went down bar as well, I'm assuming, but that was an interesting last round. And yeah, we called it 7-4. That was the last round.
Yeah, and that was IF's map pick. If you do not remember, we mentioned it a couple times previously while we were on break. That was IF's map pick at Kafe, what they 7-3'd PB on earlier. They've now lost 7-4. So if that's not a statement by One Shot about how this series might go, I don't know what it is as they move into their map pick. But it's enough for us right now. Had a little bit of time off, got back into the final round. We'll throw it to the desk, where I imagine have been waiting, and want to break down One Shot's victory that is likely going to age very well going into the next map.